on this podcast, I'm looking forward to talking with Alicia Dempster about the just announced new season for the Richmond Hill Centre for the Performing Arts. Welcome, Alicia.
Hi, Marge. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm so glad we're having this conversation. I always get excited with the new season. Yeah. So, Alicia, what is your role with the theater?
Yeah, so I am the Marketing and Events Associate within Cultural Services. So part of my portfolio is promoting the RHCPA Presents, which is technically around 30-ish shows each year that are curated by our manager, Ali Lukowitz. And actually, the other part of my portfolio is marketing our city-led events. So events like Canada Day, Murray Marketplace, concerts in the park. So overall, I help communicate all of the events through the theater and some of our city-led events to the residents of Richmond Hill.
You have an interesting job.
Yeah, it's a busy one, but it's lots of fun.
Busy and interesting. Very good.
Yeah.
So how was the season launch last Wednesday, April 29th? I was not able to attend.
I know. It was a great event. I think that this year we kept it kind of top secret as to who was performing at the actual event. So I think a lot of people were delightfully surprised as, faces started to appear on the stage. So we had close to 400 people that showed up. We kicked off the night with a few Beatles songs from the Classic Albums Live group. We obviously have the White Album coming as part of our Classic Albums Live. And so they did a few songs on the album and then off of that album, and they were high energy and really great. And then we got to watch the season launch video. So the video kind of tells the whole tale of all the shows that are coming and kind of breaks it down and explains it to them. And then we had a small performance by some of our kids that are in our theater programs, which is always an interesting part of our season launch. So we had about, I think it was 6 or 8 of our theater students up on stage, and they did a number. And it's always really nice to see how that program is kind of coming along. And then we finished our evening with a surprise performance by the Good Brothers, which we were really excited to have them on stage. And so they're coming back to the RHCPA for a full show on October 30th. And so they gave us a little preview. And I had actually never seen them perform live, but, as being as tight-knit in the Richmond Hill community as I am, obviously they're from Richmond Hill originally. So hearing their stories in between each of the songs was quite sweet, and they're full of beautiful memories and great stories. And so I think everyone in the audience really kind of enjoyed listening to them, not only their music, but their stories in between too. So It was a really nice night.
Very good. So good start to, let's hope, a very good
I think this is our 17th season that we've launched. We actually have a lot of staff that have been with the theater since day one, which is really interesting because they like to give historical information, which comes in, is very valuable to me. Some people have started as ushers and now they work in the admin office. And so we're a really dedicated bunch at the theater. So it has been really nice to hear, some of that historical information. I remember when we launched in season 10 and this happened and the rest of it. But yes, this is our 17th season that we've just launched.
I was at the first one, and it really does seem like just a few years ago, and not 17, but I'm very glad the theater is part of the community. So I have reviewed the program, and I'm really looking forward to some great shows this year. Mm-hmm. But before we actually start talking about the shows, I would really like to hear how the selection of the shows happens. Like, is there a mandate to have a certain type of show? I'm thinking, would the goal be to have a mixture? Question of availability of guests, costs. What about requests from members?
Yeah.
Tell us, how is a program put together?
All of the above, all of what you kind of mentioned. So since this was technically my first season launch, which I was involved with, I've attended a few in the past, but this was kind of my first time behind the scenes looking at a lot of things. So I'm still not entirely certain how it all came together. It's a little bit strategy. It's a little bit of magic. It's a little bit of experimentation. So there's not one true answer to that question. So obviously we're a cultural facility. And so much of our programming, whether it's the RHCPA Presents show or even some of our community shows, which are kind of third parties that use our venue to bring their programs into our theater. Between all of that, we have a very diverse range of programming. So we obviously try to book shows that we know our audience and our members will love, hence Classic Albums Live, some of the Nostalgia series. Many of them are obviously classic rock fans. So much of our programming is classic rock. We also have a lot of programming that is Canadian. We're obviously a Canadian facility, and we like to highlight a lot of our Canadian talent, something that we're always very proud of. Cost is certainly a factor, like everything that we do. Actually, compared to other performing arts facilities, some of, our benchmarks across Ontario, our prices are very reasonable for tickets, and we pride ourselves on that and being able to offer that to our community at a relatively reasonable rate. It makes, the performing arts very accessible, which is very important for us as well. Our theater manager, Ellie, works with a number of talent agencies across Ontario and the United States and beyond. And so every day names are being thrown around. At any given point in time, we'll have names thrown out and we all kind of play that guessing game of, do you know who that person is? Or do you know who that person is? Or whether that name recognition is kind of there. We work with the Ontario Presents group. And so oftentimes in order to get some of these bigger names into our theater, we're a member of Ontario Presents, which is an organization. So for example, if you might see somebody like Big Sugar might be performing in St. Catharines and Burlington. And so we kind of get a group rate almost to be able for them to tour across Ontario. So sometimes Ontario Presents works on our behalf to book or to put offers out for acts. And so sometimes that's kind of part of the puzzle as well. And sometimes artist fees are in, US dollars. And so when that gets converted, obviously into Canadian, it exceeds our budget. And so being able to book through Ontario Presents is helpful because we get a little bit maybe of a discount if we kind of group it all together. And sometimes we're booking a couple months out and sometimes we're booking a couple years out. And so, we're oftentimes getting people that we know are touring, 2-3 years from now. And we're kind of like throwing our pen in the hat, if you will, to kind of, secure that person a couple years from now. So all of that, we obviously listen very much to our members. Our members have a lot of great feedback, which is great. Ellie will tell you that this year we booked Men Without Hats due to member feedback. And so that's always something that we pride ourselves on too, because we're constantly in the lobby talking to our members, and they love to give us feedback on shows that they've seen in the past or elsewhere or who they really want to see. And we kind of put that all in a big pot of soup and mix it up and hope that we can, obtain some really great artists for the season ahead.
Woo, that was very insightful. So, and quite interesting how it's done. I don't think there's a lot of work that goes into getting a lineup put together.
There is. And there's a lot of talk in terms of who we want to bring in, but from the time that name is mentioned to the time a contract is actually and a date is secured, there's a lot of lengthy back and forth negotiations that obviously happen. So, we might be talking about one person 1 week and then that person fell off the radar for whatever reason. And then there's a new name in place of that. So it's always evolving and it's always exciting.
I looked at the lineup actually a couple of times and my thought was, woo, there is a real variety of genres, some familiar, some not, some surprising performances as well. Mm-hmm. So how would you describe this season's lineup?
Yeah, so that's kind of where my job comes in, right? So once everything was kind of booked and in place, I sat down with Ellie, and we kind of went through each of the shows. And it's my job as a marketer to kind of tell the story of the season. And so some of the assets that you see kind of floating around the community, we've gone with the idea that it's a great blend of familiar and fresh, right? So we have those pillars in place, like our classic albums and some of our Big Sugar or Men Without Hats. Those are all performers that we know our members will love and they're familiar with them. And then we have acts that are coming in that are really fresh. So, young talent like Chris Dirksen or something fun like Monks, something that you may not have heard of before, but you can trust that it's going to be a good time, right? Because you're always going to have, when you come to the RCPA, 9 times out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, it's going to be a great show. And so we've kind of leaned into the idea that it's curated, right? We know our members, we know what they're going to like, we know that they want to come and have a good time, and maybe they want to smile until their cheeks hurt, or laugh until their stomach aches, or rock out, or really enjoy the sound coming from the great acoustics of our theater. And so we've kind of leaned into that, and all of our shows are kind of handpicked across a wide range of genres. Yeah, it's that's why kind of the assets that you'll see too is that what we like to joke is a tangerine color. A lot of the assets this year are orange, and so it's that fresh kind of reflection. And so we chose a color that we thought was a representation of something fresh. So I don't use the word orange. I like to use the word tangerine, and that's just the marketing person in me. But yeah, that's why you see all those tangerine assets floating around the community. Yeah.
Okay, I will have to pick up on that. So, and I like the word fresh. It's better than my word surprising. So I think, that's good.
Yeah, it's okay to put those, hand in hand. The thing about the word surprise though is it's a good surprise, right? It's nothing that it's a good surprise. Yeah. So that's what I like the most.
Okay, let's start talking about the shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many are there?
There's 31 for this season currently.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's start with Classic Albums Live. You've mentioned them already.
Yes.
Though they don't need promotion. I think they're very popular, correct?
They're very popular. Our members love them. This year, I believe we have 7 of them. Some really great ones. It's interesting behind the scenes to kind of see which ones are more popular than another. But it was very surprising to see, some of the ones that we thought may not have potentially been, as popular are actually turning out to be quite popular in ticket sales. So some fun ones this year. We're really excited about the Guns N' Roses, the Classic Albums Live, which should be a really fun time. And then we're doing Madonna's The Immaculate Collection. So again, really, really fun stuff. And it's always the Classic Albums Live series prides itself on, experiencing the whole album. So from start to finish, live on stage. And so you're not just listening to the music, you're watching this talented group of artists perform it on instruments and sing it kind of note for note. So always a fan favorite.
It is. A lot of my friends go and are really enthusiastic. Though I will admit, I am not a big fan of the Classic Albums Live.
Yeah, I think you really have to be attached to the specific album in order to hear it, right? So if you're that big Madonna fan, then that's the one for you. But it's the people that love it.
Yes.
And then we have a group that are coming to our theater for completely different performances.
And that is myself. So
yeah.
And I've said there's some odd, surprising, fresh shows.
Mm-hmm.
I'm referring to The Psychology of Cults, for one.
Yeah.
A Brief History of Smoking Cigarettes.
Yeah.
And Monks. So those, how and why were these chosen?
These are really fun ones. So The Psychology of Cults kind of leans into this phenomenon of people, exploring more and more about true crime stories and people's interest in kind of getting to understand something that they may not have understood before. And it's kind of a sit back and absorb sort of show. I think it's really interesting because we've had a lot of conversation around this show in the sense that a few of us actually in university, it was a course offered in university as an elective where you sit in a lecture hall and you're talking about how cults come to form and how do you kind of get sucked into them. And, it's almost a formula. And so it talks about how that formula comes to be. And I think it's just going to be a really interesting kind of deep dive night that makes you think. And that's always a good thing when we're sitting there thinking and going, huh? So we're really looking forward to that one there. A Brief History of Smoking Cigarettes is a fun one. So this one is good. So both A Brief History of Smoking Cigarettes and Monks are going to be general admission shows. And so those are going to happen actually in the Lexus Hall. And those kind of involve a little bit of audience interaction where the show kind of immerses you a little bit into the audience. The Brief History of Smoking Cigarettes is a one-person show that kind of talks about how, it explores the idea of bad habits, right? We've all had a bad habit here and there. And so this one uses smoking cigarettes as an example. And she kind of talks through how the struggle, right? One day you're psyching yourself into this bad habit. Oh, it's not so bad. And then all of a sudden you're being, chased by the RCMP for, the big swing in emotions that you can feel behind a bad habit. So that will be really interesting. And Monks should be a really fun time too. So this again is, it's an interactive show. It's a clown show. It has really great reviews from the Toronto Fringe Festival. And it's, two brothers from Montessori that apparently a new group is kind of coming in, and they're starting to panic that the new group is coming into where they live, and it's just chaos from there on in. And any of the reviews and videos that I've kind of seen is the show has never been the same twice. So it's a lot of improv and a lot of fun, and we're really looking forward to some new stuff to kind of explore, and hopefully some of our guests will be willing to kind of trust us on some of these shows too.
Woo. Okay.
Roller coaster. Yeah.
Roller coaster.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm really in favor of all of those. Okay. Now let's talk about comedy shows. Yeah. No, we're continuing. Like, I guess The Monks is a comedy show, but you have other comedy shows.
Yeah, so The Monks is a comedy show. A Brief History of Smoking Cigarettes is a comedy show. And then we're bringing in the best of Second City. So we all know Second City from Toronto. So it'll be a unique show that they're offering for us. And, expect improv on stage, lots of big laughs. Your tummy's going to hurt. Your cheeks are going to hurt from lots of laughter. So those are our comedy shows for this season. And then what often tends to happen throughout our year is we're kind of approached by comedians here and there that want to come and book our theater as a community show. And so comedy is one of those shows that kind of pops up throughout the season, that if you visit our website, you'll likely be able to get tickets to some of our comedy shows that kind of pop in or are traveling around Ontario later in the season.
Okay. So kid shows, you've got two of them I saw. One's March Break. Can you talk about them?
Yeah, so the March Break show is always a fun one for us. It's usually the Monday of March Break, and we always have a great turnout. We often populate the lobby with some activities, so it's kind of, an opportunity for anyone that, isn't potentially traveling for a March Break to come and experience live theater. This one is Earth Shark Dive. So it's actually a company from Australia. We had this company a few years ago. They did a dinosaur show. And so think of massive, giant kind of puppets, but kind of up close. So it's almost as if you're seeing a shark up close, but it actually is a puppet. So this one is an immersive shark show. So you have the opportunity to kind of get up close to the puppets. And from what I understand, there's actually an opportunity to tailor your experience. So you have a set of headphones, and you can pick super scary, suspenseful in your headphones, or you can hear pure information and facts if you're not looking for, a scary kind of experience, but it's large puppets up close. So very immersive kind of theater, which will be really interesting. And the other kids show is the Velveteen Rabbit, which we've actually had them to our theater before. And this is a production that has really kind of gained traction and blown up recently, which is really lovely to see. And this is your traditional onstage play. So obviously an adaptation of the children's book. It's really heartwarming, and it's perfect for young audiences. So anyone that you want to maybe introduce live theater to, that's perhaps young, bits and musicals and lots of beautiful set on stage. And so it's a really good one to kind of introduce any young audiences to. So we're really looking forward to that one too.
Yeah, no, that is, I think, quite important, is to provide opportunities for introducing young kids, as you said. And it's nice that you don't need to go downtown to do that, because getting downtown for a little one, that can be enough, then sitting through a show. So yes. I think it's excellent that there is this local opportunity to do that. So I'm glad to hear. Now, I believe there are 3 acrobats or high energy shows. I do like these. Can you talk about them?
Yeah, our tech crew has already kind of seen the specs for backstage for these shows, and they're going, you wouldn't believe it. So it's going to be very interesting, these ones. So these are just visually stunning shows to look at, right? So imagine yourself in an audience, and these are the kind of shows that take up the entire stage, right? Top to bottom, left to right. They're really moving in all directions on that stage. So Migas is one. That's the Underwater Panther Show. It's a contemporary dance group by Red Sky Performance. And so this is contemporary high energy dance. Think, dance, a live concert, and a history lesson all in once. And it tells the story about the migration of Indigenous people from the Atlantic coast towards the Great Lakes. Sorry. And so this is a very immersive, beautiful storytelling through dance and multimedia. So I think that one is just going to be very beautiful from start to finish. The other one is By a Thread. So that one should be really fascinating. Some of the video that's coming through, you're just kind of awestruck from it. And that is a show. It has acrobatics, 7 acrobats, and they use one single 30-meter long rope. So it's almost one giant human version almost of Cat's Cradle happening live in front of you, top to bottom. And they're using the pulleys from the top of our stage and kind of moving throughout the stage using this rope and telling a story as they go through it. And then the other high energy one with I guess you're referring maybe to Sophie's Surprise, which I think is probably for me one of the I will be there. The night of Sophie's Surprise. I am very much looking forward to this. It looks like a bunch of chaotic fun, and I think it's going to be a great time. I think it's going to be very unpredictable. You kind of got to go into it with an open mind. But this one here, the premise of Sophie's Surprise is that it's a house party from the 90s that gets out of control. As people start to show up to this 90s house party, things start to get more wild and more wild. And so there's Cirque du Soleil level acrobatics that are happening. There's fire breathing and there's roller skating and there's a whole bunch of things that start to evolve, and the party just kind of balloons and balloons and balloons, bigger and more chaotic as we go. And then Sophie's 29th birthday ends up actually being someone from the audience who's there for their birthday. So the show kind of starts as, they're just getting together for cake and ice cream to celebrate Sophie's birthday, and more people start to show up, and it turns into a really wild, fun, crazy time. So it's going to be really interesting.
Okay. I like that. You've described it very well. So thanks. You got me enthused about it. Okay. Calming down a bit. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to the Ukrainian singer-songwriter Marina Krut. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah, you are. I very much am looking forward to her too. Obviously, part of my job is I get all the marketing assets from agents, and while I'm going through my work, I'm resizing images and I'm watching videos, and I'm trying to get a feel for how we're kind of building the season. And any time that Mariana's videos come across my screen, I sit there and I'm just in goosebumps, truly, because her voice is stunning. She's a very talented artist. I'm very much looking forward to experiencing her too. I think it's going to be a really moving evening. So another one that I'm really looking forward to.
Okay. I am very glad that Men of the Deep are back for the Christmas show. I love Christmas music, and I've seen Men of the Deep before there, and it was great. So glad you're having that one back. So
I wasn't here for that show. I wasn't here for that one, but I hear from both our staff and anyone else who has seen them, they're just a wonderful thing to experience. So these are real miners from Cape Breton. I think there's probably about 30 plus of them that all come together on stage. And the fact that they're coming back for a Christmas show, we're really excited to welcome them back because I hear great things about them. So really excited about that one too.
Yes, I need to get my tickets soon. Okay. Can you talk about some of the other performances that you really think we should pay attention to?
Yeah, of course. The big names, like we're always excited about some of these big names that are coming through. So obviously Big Sugar is coming back, which we're excited about. They're performing their first new album in 7 years. So we're really looking forward to hearing what that sounds like. They're, of course, well-known Canadian group, unique blend of blues, rock, reggae sound, and then being able to see Gordie Johnson live on stage playing the guitar. That's one that you don't want to miss. He's a king when it comes to the guitar, so it'll be great to see live on stage. Men Without Hats is a big one for us. Upbeat night, 80s music, think new wave, synth pop, obviously a legendary name in Canadian music. Trooper is going to be another great Canadian party band, party night. Should be a great time, here for a good time, not a long time. I know that some of their performers have turned over in recent years, and I hear really great things about the energy level that they bring. So I think it's going to be a really fun night. Of course, we've had Gowan at the RHCPA before. We're really looking forward to having him back. Our members love having Gowan in the building. He loves to walk around throughout the crowd, and a lot of members like to say, I was there the night, he sat beside me in my seat, and they really enjoy how immersive of a performer he is. And he obviously makes playing the keyboard look so easy. It's always a great time. Five for Fighting will be coming. He's coming with a string quartet. Plays the piano. I think it'll be a really beautiful sounding night. And Matthew Good will be back too with a string quartet. So lots of amazing Canadian artists that we're really looking forward to welcoming.
Very good. I'm going to put you on the spot and have you say, who is your favorite? Which one are you most looking forward to?
Well, Sophie's Surprise is, I think I talked about it. Because I don't know what to expect, but I do. I don't know what the answer is, but between that one, whether I think I know what's going to happen for Sophie's Surprise, or that's definitely what I'm looking forward to. Crute, like I mentioned, I just think her voice is stunning. The Psychology of Cults, I think it'll really be a really kind of night where I get to sit there and soak it all up. I'm looking forward to Tim Hicks too. That's a name I haven't mentioned yet. He's in May of 2027. He's our country artist, and his music is really high energy. And, not everyone might be a fan of country music. Some people can give or take it, but I think that the way that the musician that he is, and his ability to tell a great story, I think it makes it really digestible for anyone, regardless of whether you're a country fan or not. So I'm really looking forward to that one too.
Okay. You did not do a good job of picking one, but
I know, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's too hard.
Okay, I understand. Now, how have ticket sales been so far?
Yeah, so they're doing very well. Obviously, the classic albums, at the point of listening to this podcast, I hope that there's a ticket for anyone looking for a ticket for classic albums, because they're really up there. But we have quite a few tickets still to a lot of the shows that I talked about today. The expression, the early bird gets the worm, really applies to live music. I'm sure we've all experienced the anxiety of when tickets go on sale at Ticketmaster, and we all have to panic, but we're not Ticketmaster, which works in our favor, and we don't use that platform for our tickets. So lots of great entertaining shows and tickets still left for anyone interested in scooping some up.
Yeah, but I think you have said the point that don't wait till after Christmas to buy your ticket for something you want to see in January. So yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, definitely not.
Okay. Now, yeah, and one thing to say is your theater it's not small, but it only 631 seats. So that's another reason why you don't leave it too long. Tell us about membership.
Mm-hmm. So, we have a growing group of members. We have almost 300 this season, which is fantastic. And one of the biggest perks for members is they get early access to the new season. So a lot of our members have already gone through and, scooped up tickets for the shows that they want to see. And then they save 15% on any RHCPA Presents shows. So a club RHCPA membership is $125, and it gives you a whole bunch of perks other than, the early access and the 15%. And then we also have something called a next gen membership. And so that's trying to encourage some of our younger patrons to experience the performing arts. And that one is a steal at only $30. And so that's for anyone $30 or 30 years and younger. And you save 15% on any next gen approved shows. So lots of great opportunities to kind of get in there and perhaps see something that you hadn't expected before.
Right. Okay. I did notice that you've got some new sponsors this year. Mm-hmm. I see this as a good sign. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so it's always a great sign. We have many sponsors that have been with us for many, many years. Obviously, we really appreciate their support each season as they help bring bigger names to our venue and help support the performing arts. Richmond Hill Honda is our season partner, which they're back with us again this season, which is great to hear. They've always been a big supporter of ours, and we're really grateful for them. A lot of new sponsors potentially that are coming on are new businesses that are coming to Richmond Hill, and our RevGen team does a really great job in partnership kind of with our economic development team, bringing some awareness around some of these new businesses and fostering some of these relationships so that they grow in the coming years. So our RevGen team and our economic development group are always busy with some of these new sponsors and partners.
I think of years back, people would stand in line at the box office to get tickets. That's not the case now. Like most people do buy online. Do you have any stats for that?
Yeah, a lot. I don't have numbers in front of me, but definitely most people buy online, which is obviously much different from a decade ago. I remember myself standing out, I guess would have been like Sunrise Records, waiting outside a long line for tickets for shows, right? Now you're just doing it in the comfort of your own home. So we do have a new website, and that makes it hopefully a little bit easier for patrons to kind of access the tickets that they're looking for. But we do still have a box office, a very active group that work in our box office that are more than willing to help anyone who might not be familiar with how to purchase tickets, or if you need an accessibility request. They're a really helpful bunch of people. And so if you're ever not sure of something, or you're like, is this show suitable for my sister, or have any kind of questions, you can always contact the box office, and they're a great resource if you're not ready to just purchase something right away online.
Okay, very good. You've mentioned the website has changed. I think it really is a really positive change. It looks good. So I'm very friendly and inviting. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you. No, thank you. Lots of feedback on that one.
Good. And since you are the marketer, you are the perfect person to answer this question. How has the marketing of the season been since 2009? You weren't there, but you probably you may remember that glossy booklet you would get in the mail.
Yeah,
that's a thing of the past.
Yeah, so we've really moved so much of our focus away from a full printed booklet. I'm always constantly, being an advocate that no one has an attention span anymore. And so if there's a more concise way to tell people what they're going to get, I'm always, a bigger fan of that. Although we did do a mailed piece, it's a lot more concise. It did go out throughout the mail, throughout Richmond Hill. So you can look for that tangerine. This did go out to quite a few homes in Richmond Hill and some of the surrounding areas. So much of what we do now is obviously digital, but there's still room for printed assets as well. It's just the percentage of what we do in print versus what we do digital has kind of shifted a little bit. In terms of the strategy behind marketing, it really always is the same for us. Marketing as storytellers, right? And so it's our job to try and paint the picture of what you can expect to see, what you can expect to feel, what you can expect to hear when you come in the building. And so, some of our assets may have changed, but at the end of the day, that the end goal is still the same. We're still trying to tell the story of what you can expect when you walk in our building.
Anything else that you wanted to add?
I'm really looking forward to the new season. Like I mentioned, I've only been with the RHCPA for just over 8 months, but I've actually been with the city for more than 10 years. So I have gotten a really wonderful opportunity to be able to, especially through some of the community events that I've been involved with, I've had the opportunity to get to know key members, and memorable faces throughout the Richmond Hill community. And so if you happen to see me in the lobby and I'm at a show, say hello, introduce yourself. I'm looking forward to meeting a lot more of our members. And I'm looking forward to a really great season.
Yeah.
So, if you ever see me on stage, sometimes I have to introduce a show too. And so if you ever see me, Alicia from marketing, up on stage, just, you have to applaud me too, because it's a very nerve-wracking task to get up on stage and introduce some of the shows.
Okay.
So,
I ask everyone at the end of the podcast the same question. The question is, if you had a magic wand and could make the world a little better, what is one thing you would do?
That's a great question. I'll just say, if you gave me a magic wand, I'd make it better by giving more people the opportunity to put their phone down and experience a live show. I think so much of what, our lived experiences these days is through a screen, and there still is so much value in experiencing something live and in person. And it's a great feeling to plan a night out with a friend and see a show and then talk about it on the car ride home. So it's connection without an algorithm or a filter. And I think that genuine connection is what we all need a little bit more of these days. So that's what I do with my magic wand if given the chance.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Alicia, for doing this podcast. I have really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for listening. I would appreciate you sharing this podcast. Consider emailing me at Marge, M-A-R-J, at margeandre.com. I would welcome suggestions for podcast guests. Let's stay connected.